So, good afternoon. My name is Jim Atkinson. I am the Director of Programs and Services here at Art Pride, New Jersey. I want to thank folks for taking the time this afternoon to join us. We do have a wonderful agenda in front of us, and specifically want to thank Andrew Kotler, who's here. He'll be speaking soon from TRG Arts. He'll be walking us through the state of AIM and some holistic data to share with us before we head off into breakout rooms a little later in the agenda. Um, I am a middle-aged white male with black hair, black rimmed glasses, blue eyes, and today I am wearing a dark gray charcoal shirt. And I'm coming to you today from my home office in Haddon Township, New Jersey, the ancestral land of the Lenni Lenape people. We're just going to do some quick housekeeping before we get into the agenda. We did switch this from a webinar to a meeting because we saw the group was fairly manageable and did want to get into some breakout rooms, which is not a tool available to us through webinar. So we switched over the format. Hopefully, that didn't seem to affect anyone coming in, so that's good news. We are going to have Andrew walk us through, as I mentioned, about 25 to 30-minute presentation, and then we'll be heading off into some breakout rooms. So you'll have the opportunity to talk about how you're either using or planning to use AIM throughout the next year, and then we'll bring folks back together, convene, and share some of those ideas before we head off. But before we do any of that, if you do have a question, I would ask that you please raise your hand. I'll call on you, and then you can just unmute yourself, ask the questions, and then go back to mute. That way, we just try to keep the background noise to a minimum. If that works for folks, can everyone do a quick show your raise your hand tool? You see the raise your hand tool? Thank you, Heather. Yep, there you go. Awesome. Fantastic. So does everybody see that? Does anybody have any trouble? All right. I also am going to launch a quick poll because I'm interested if how many of you all currently have an active AIM subscription, or do not yet have an AIM subscription, but are here because you're curious about the tool, or if you're just not sure if you have one or not. So as I introduce Andrew, if you could please just take a quick second to answer that. Andrew, I'm going to hand it off over to you to let yourself introduce yourself and talk a little bit more about what we're going to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jim. And so good to be with you all today. And you should be seeing my screen that has a big AIM logo on it. If not, let me know. I am Andrew Kotler. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm your dedicated consulting analyst for the New Jersey Community Network, which we affectionately refer to as AIM, Audience Insight Manager. You'll hear me use that term. You'll hear me use data center, which a lot of you know intimately and are users of. I'll use all of those terms, but so you'll know. And if you want to schedule a call with me, you can go ahead and scan that QR code in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. As your dedicated consulting analyst, I am here to help you use the system, talk about your goals, usage, train new members of the team on how to use data center as part of the AIM program. So use me however I can help you the most. I am a theater kid from the start. Engaging new patrons and sustaining existing patrons in the arts is just part of, my personal mission. So however I can be most helpful, please call on me. Today, for the next, 30 minutes, this is going to be our agenda. We're going to look at the TRG Arts and Culture Benchmark, formerly known as the COVID-19 benchmark. We're going to talk about the state of AIM, and I'll show you some data, some stats, some reporting out of how things have changed since this time last year. regarding demographics and that kind of stuff. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek about what's coming next in data center. And as part of that, tell you a little bit about response reports if we have time. And then, like Jim said, we're going to go into breakout sessions. Awesome. Okay. So we have this arts and culture benchmark. It's a free tool, FREE, free tool. A couple of you are already on it, but I highly encourage you to sign up for it. It's a way that we at TRG are showing progress of recovery since COVID. Like I said, we started it during COVID-19 to show how performing arts organizations of all genres are recovering. And now we've transitioned to it just being, part of our lives to show how ticket sales and revenue and donations are performing right now. So you can sign up for it if you're not already members at trgarts.com. And the benchmark is made up of over 500 organizations now, more than 250 of which are now in North America, and over 400 million transactions. And what it does is we connect a DDX, a direct data exchange, to your CRM, and it seamlessly, and again, it's free, gives us that data to then aggregate and measure by region, by genre, etc. This is the makeup of who's in the benchmark. I won't spend a lot of time here, but you can see it's about half theater, a quarter orchestras, performing arts centers, ballets, and operas. And here's what it looks like. If you remember, you would have access to this. You can see your revenue and your ticket units, for instance, and donor units compared to last year, compared to the region that you're in, the genre, etc. So it's a super valuable tool. It's free. Sign up. But I'm going to give a little 2023 wrap up. This is going to be quick and dirty, but I think it's really informative of where we are in this moment, April of 2024. Well, looking back at last year at least. So here is what the past few years have looked like compared to 2019, pre-pandemic. We know that if you look at those yellow bars, orchestras and dance especially were the first to recover. And those are, well, I don't want to spoil it, but those are thanks to some very specific kind of programming that I'll talk about in 1 second. And in the last year, the good news is PACs and theaters have really shown recovery from pre-pandemic. And the big reason is what we call at TRG, my colleague Eric Nelson, if you know him, calls the Mariah Carey effect. So what happens every year? Around November 1st, right after Halloween, Mariah, what is it called? Defrosts, and we have holiday programming. So holiday programming is making up a lot of the ticket revenue and units that are contributing to recovery post-COVID. So what I will say is be very thoughtful as you're working with your teams, with your artistic teams, to think about that holiday programming, right? It's the one time of year when people are more likely to spend a little bit more on entertainment, right, for themselves, for their families, etc. And so be really thoughtful about that as we're looking at our seasons of how we can leverage more, getting more people into our spaces during those holiday seasons. So I know it's April, but hopefully you're already thinking about November and December. I wanted to share this graph looking at ticket buyers by typology. And typology this is how we classify them: new customer acquisitions, a few other, and then stale and lapsed customers. And as you can see, this is looking at 2019 in blue compared to 2023. We are experiencing new customer acquisitions, but we have our lapsed customers there's just a lot of them right now. So The opportunity here is we're really recommending at this point to re-engage those lapsed customers. Go back in your database. Your best new customers are going to be your old customers, the ones who haven't come back in the past, let's call it 5 years at this point. So instead of spending a lot of money on new patron acquisition, which costs a lot more, go back into your databases and tell them that you miss them, right? Text me, I miss you. That is going to be the lowest cost, high value way to spend your marketing dollars over the next months and years. So just a couple more quick slides about the arts and culture benchmark. This is looking at monthly ticket sales. And just like what I said, this is comparing 2019 in orange to 2023 in yellow. Things started to pick up in March of 2023. And so we're performing better than we were in 2019. This is looking at sales in the on the bars and units on the line graph. And then look what happens in November and December, right? Our numbers start to really grow thanks to that holiday programming. So again, that's when you're able to bring in over the holidays your new customers, right? It's the best time for acquisition, and then you got to hold on to them, right? So creating a strategy for your new to files, making sure that you're inviting them back to their next production, the next event. That's really important. Anytime you want to talk more about this, reach out. But it all boils down to what we call RFMG, right? So that's recency, frequency, monetary, and growth. Recency, how long has it been since a patron has been to your venue? We show that 75% of new ticket buyers never come back, right? So that's why spending so much money to bring in new ticket buyers when they're 75% of them are never going to step foot in your doors again, right? So and how long has it been for the other 25%, I wonder? I don't know. Frequency, how often do your patrons attend? 80% of regular ticket buyers visit less than one time per year. So, like I said, your databases are full, of those customers who are ripe to invite back. And then monetary, right? Like I said, it costs us a lot less to invite someone back than it is to welcome someone for the first time. So that's what I wanted to show about the arts and culture benchmark. Again, you can sign up. It's free, trgarts.com/benchmark. So that's my little public service announcement. But to the state of AIM, Audience Insight Manager, it's been a great year, a lot of growth. Some big changes in demographics that I'll show you, some not so much. That's a little teaser for what's to come, but I'm proud to say we have 48 participating organizations. Hopefully your organization is on this list, if I did it correctly. 48 is the most in my time with Art Pride New Jersey, partnering with TRG, that we've ever had. And we're always looking to expand this list, right? The more data, the more patron households we have in the database, the more people, patron households we have as prospects to invite to your next production, your next event. Just a quick reminder why we do what we do in Data Center. It's all about this evolution of a patron chart that I like to show off, and it's all about loyalty and recurring revenue, right? We want to bring these prospects into our spaces, create new single ticket buyers, invite them back to be multi-buyers, and then invite them to subscribe or be a member, a donor, and our advocates, right? And that recurring revenue is always going to be the foundation of your budgets. You can count on it every year. It's recurring. You're not always having to invite single ticket buyers over and over and over again. Subscriptions, membership models, donor campaigns, whatever you have, whatever you want to call them, I don't care. They work and they help to sustain our organizations. Okay, and it's all about that right person, right message, right time. So here's a look at AIM by the numbers. As of April of 2024, we have 1.8 million unique mailable households. So that's patron households who are currently attending arts and culture events, right? They're not stale. They're currently they are leaving the house. They are attending live events. So that's powerful data to have at your fingertips. They're ready for your invitation to your next event. And very good news. That's a more than 14% increase since this time last year of unique mailable households. So someone's doing the work of bringing in new patron households into our data set. Now we just got to use it, right? Okay. Also, we have over 1 million households with phone numbers, right? If you're doing any outbound calling, telemarketing, anything like that of your data set, that's great to know. And over 1 million email addresses as well. And if you ever want to know, it's true you can't share email addresses in Data Center, but you can always use Data Center to segment your own lists and use the demographics tool, etc., on your e-blasts. If you ever want to talk more about that, book some time with me. Maybe we can spend time on a future webinar talking more about that. And just to remember, we're about a year into trading reciprocity with New York, Philly, and Delaware. That's 124 organizations and over 8 million unique mailable households. Okay, cool. I'm going to skip ahead a little just for time's sake. Great. So, usage. We have 105 active users, close to 1,000 logins, and that's total logins, which is down, but of distinct users, you all who are using the system, we're up 7% from last year. We've created in this cohort 228 mail campaigns or research campaigns and have requested 1.5 million households, and 75% of which have been shared and approved. Trades, 78%, 78% have been approved, 6% denied. So that's a pretty good average. And average trade request response time is just under 3 days. We always recommend you approving trades as soon as possible, but within 3 to 5 business days. So we're doing pretty well here. This is the worst news that I'm going to share with you, and I have to share it. 48% of the organizations in the cohort didn't update their data last year. It doesn't mean they're not using the system. Almost everyone's using the system to create mail campaigns and request trades. But let's all be good neighbors. We recommend updating your data every 30 days or at least after each production or event. It doesn't take more than 10, 20 minutes to update your data. So if I can be of help to helping your team, onboarding your team with that, let's work together to do that. It's super important, and we'll get our unique mailable household numbers even further up. Okay. Let's look at geography briefly. Here's our top 5 performing zip codes of the past year. They haven't changed much. And here's our top, I think, like 15 performing zip codes I threw in here as well. Princeton being number 1. I'm going to go kind of quickly, forgive me, but we'll send out this deck as a follow-up just so you can see it. And by the way, you can run this data anytime in Data Center yourself under the community reports. Here's a look at household penetration rate and the top performing households by penetration rate. Here's those top 15. Again, penetration rate is of the population of that zip code. How many households do we have in the data set? So if for round numbers, if there's 100 households in a zip code and we have 10 of them, we'd have a 10% penetration rate. That's a great number to use as you're looking at your campaigns, right? Because if you have a high population in one particular zip code, a high penetration rate, well, people who live around each other tend to have similar buying habits and behavior, so that's a good place to look. And then just for the fun of it, I ran best performing zip codes outside of New Jersey, mostly in Pennsylvania and on Staten Island. Great. A quick look at demographics of the past year. Nothing much has changed in these three demographic data points. Education, marital status, and presence of children have remained pretty steady. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. Age, the average age of, the median age, I should say, of an Arts Boston patron is about 62 years old, whereas the median age of a resident of the state of New Jersey is around 40. So our arts and culture buyers tend to skew a little bit older, probably not surprising to any of us on this call. But, and I'll talk about it in 1 second, we're always looking to diversify our audiences by bringing in new generations of ticket buyers. A quick look at household income. The household income of New Jersey has gone up about $8,000, is about $97,000 this year. So that's pretty much in line with who's in our data set. We skew a little bit higher than that of our arts and culture patrons. And I wanted to throw a new one out at you, and you can find this anytime in our demographics reporting and data center, but this is a look at net worth, right? So 35% of, or let me change that, 55% of our arts and culture data set have a net worth of $1 million or more. And you can work with between your marketing teams and your Devo teams to identify who those patrons are in your data and other organizations' data, and use that to work together to make some money.
Andrew, if I could jump in real quick.
Sure.
This slide is referencing Arts Boston.
Oh, it shouldn't. It should say, it should, forgive me, Jim. This is New Jersey data.
And the previous
Change
one
that.
had an Arts Boston reference on it as well.
Oh, I'm so sorry
I
about
want to
that.
confirm that we are indeed looking at.
This is all New Jersey data. I did a save as. That's my fault. Forgive me. All New Jersey data. And here is a look at political party affiliation. Not much has changed since last year. About over 50% of our data set identify as Democrats. And you can see the rest. Okay, here's the juicy stuff. So looking at race and ethnicity, this is where we were in 2022. About 83% of our audiences were white or other, 7% Hispanic, 4% identify as Black, and 6% as Asian. Well, this is the best news that I'm going to show you. We are becoming a more diverse data set, right? Our white and other audiences are shrinking by 3% in the past year. Our Hispanic, Black, and Asian audiences are growing slightly, but it's noticeable by 1% each. So that's a great thing to see. Remember, we have to know where we're starting from to be able to grow. So I think in the breakout sessions, we'll talk a little bit more about how to use Data Center to grow diversity in your audiences, which is crucial at this point. Same thing with generation. This is where we were in 2022. And here's a look at where we are in 23. So we've stayed flat with greatest generation. That's that group born before 1928. That makes sense, I guess. We've shrunk with the silent generation, those born before 1945. And we've lost some baby boomers slightly. That makes sense. And we're growing millennials and Gen Z. But I want to focus here on Gen X because our Gen X numbers have stayed flat over the past year, right, at 29%. And one of the recommendations that TRG is really suggesting right now is you have to have a Gen X strategy, right? Because Gen Xers are that generation that are moving up right now. And here's who they are, right? They're in this life stage where they're becoming empty nesters if they have kids. They have more disposable income and more dollars to spend on arts and entertainment. So they are ripe for invitations to come to our shows, come to our productions. And so a few helpful tips with Gen X is these are the three things they do the most online: email, news and weather, and banking. the thing we need to know about them is don't sugarcoat it. They're allergic to sugarcoating, as we say. So here's a few tactics that we recommend with them as you're messaging them in your marketing campaigns. Be direct. Be a resource to them. Show that you're here to help them. Be authentic and build trust. And lay out all the options. No hidden fees. They can smell that from a mile away, right? Peer referrals are really important. You're much more likely to attend something if a friend tells you about it or says, let's go see this together. That's super crucial with Gen X. And make it easy to buy. Don't have so many clicks on your website. When you're ready to, when you send an e-blast, make it 1 or 2 clicks at the most to get to the ticket purchase path. Great. So that is a look at demographics. For time's sake, I'm going to move on. I want to show you what's coming next in data center, and I'm so excited about this. This is the biggest addition we've had in the last couple of years, and it's called our Go Deeper section. And it gives you access and your organization access to find a few additional reporting opportunities that we can help you with at TRG. So focusing on response reports, first of all, I'll talk very quickly about response reports after this. Prospect finders, right? Bringing in new acquisitions. We can help you find 25,000 prospects who have the same demographics of your past ticket buyers with a prospect finder. A couple of opportunities for some light consulting. We can do a mystery shopper series of calls with your box office if you're interested. Some wealth screening is going to be applied, demographic reports, and all of that kind of stuff. So this is about to go live in the next week or two. It'll be a module on the side of your data center account. And anything you want to chat about here, just reach out anytime. I was going to go a little deeper into response reports and how they can benefit you, but I will just leave it in one more, just a minute left about how and why we do response reports, right? It helps us measure your past mail campaigns. It'll show you ROI, your return on investment for what you've spent, and it'll help you measure your cost of sale. What should I be spending to get the most out of my ticket sales, right? You got to crack an egg to make an omelet, so you've got to spend money to make money, right? But cost of sale really varies based on if you're reaching out to your renewing subscribers, your acquisition subscribers, your single ticket buyers, etc. So a response report will help you look back at your past campaigns to see how you've done. And one quick success story I wanted to share was New York Theater Workshop. I just ran a response report for them at the end of 2023 on one of their single ticket campaigns. And we found, this is what it looks like. It's a lot of data, but all of those rows that are highlighted in yellow are segments that were trade segments, right? So New York Theater Workshop used these trade segments for a single ticket campaign, and over 33%, I think, is the number of their new single ticket buyers came from trade segments, which is super powerful. And for again, that's the whole point of one of the points of using this system is to leverage those trade segments to bring in new ticket buyers to be potentially lifelong patrons with your organization. So that's that's the reason why we use response reports. They're available to you to use so we can look back, measure performance in the past, and then that'll help us determine how we should be using our marketing dollars moving forward to invite people to future productions. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it for time's sake. And I think at this point, Jim, we're going to move into breakout sessions. If anyone,
just
go
real
ahead.
quick, see if anybody had any questions for Andrew
Perfect.
before we do that. Either a specific question about anything that was shared today or a specific question about these types of reportings that you wanted to hear about. If you do, just go ahead and raise your hand. No? Well, you did too good a job explaining it, I guess, Andrew. So,
I love it.
Tanisha has a question. Tanisha?
Yes, sorry. I was just curious about, you were talking about integrating information with TRG with our e-blasting efforts, and
Uh-huh.
possibly something that we could dig into. I don't know if that's today, but I'm really interested in kind of unpacking what that means and what that looks like. Full stop.
Yeah, in a couple of sentences, Tanisha, that's a great question. You can already use Data Center to segment your patrons and create an export with email addresses, right? We know that we can't trade email addresses. It's not part of the system in some states at this point. I don't know about New Jersey. It's not legal. So you can use your house data um, to create a campaign, and then upon finishing that list, create an export for yourself. Well, then you've got your list of segmented patrons, maybe by demographics, maybe by net worth, presence of children in the home, whatever you want, and you can import that into your email client. In the future, we are looking at developing new tools to do that in the system itself. We're just not there yet, but there's a workaround to be able to do that with your house data. And if anyone wants more to walk through that one-on-one with me, just schedule a call with me.
Great. All right, so I think we will put a pin in this part of the conversation for now. I'm going to go ahead and send you all into breakout rooms. So there are going to be three. Andrew is going to be leading the yellow team. Howard Levine, who's one of our marketing messaging committee co-chairs. I want to thank Howard for agreeing to help us today. He'll be leading the blue team, and Tanisha Ford from the Art Pride staff, our marketing communications person, will be leading the green team.